So there's an Ocarina of Time reference here. Uh, I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can catch it. I know it's about Batman, but there's an Ocarina of Time reference here. Not intentionally, but you find it. So for any of the sharp-eyed individuals, 23 is number one. That's the order. You have to hit the Deku Scrubs and Deku Tree to get into Goma's room. You hit. That's how people will remember. It's 23 is number one. So you hit the second Deku Scrub, then the third, and then the one number one who's closest to the door. You fit with them last. But that's in the original, and I think in Master Quest it's something completely different. But in the original, it's 23 is number one. So not a direct reference. They didn't put it, obviously, but I saw it's like 23, 231. I was like, 23 is number one. Ocarina of Time. Anyway, leftist influencers humiliated after accusing Bane creator Chuck Dixon of never reading a Batman book. The man who created the character who did this has never read a Batman comic before. He created a character who managed to do something that I think up till this point really hadn't really been done. He created a character who broke the bat. And this moment, when people think of one of the most influential and just critical moments in any comic, this is definitely, if someone was to make a top 10, this is definitely always going to be on a top 10. Because again, this is a huge pivotal moment where someone managed to do what no one else had managed to do before. He broke Batman. I am Bane, and I could kill you, but death would only end your agony and silence your shame. Instead, I will simply break you. And we get to see it in, Christopher Nolan's movies, and it's as not really as impactful because you know what's going to happen. As once you saw that Bane was the villain of that movie, you knew you were going to see this. So it wasn't so much of a surprise or shock when it happened. But in this, if you weren't looking ahead in that comic, you didn't expect this shit to happen. You were not expecting to see Batman broken. Now, these people on the left are trying to say the man who created this doesn't know what he's talking about. Because the comic book world has been shaken since Daniel Warren Johnson posted an image of Batman in a violent position against an ICE agent over the weekend. ICE agents who are doing their jobs. They're not Gestapo. They're not the fucking Nazis. Okay, we have borders. We have border laws. What they're doing is rounding up people who don't have their papers because they're illegal. Now, if you're a legal citizen and you're unable to produce said papers, it's like, why would you go anywhere without an ID card or something? That's on you. But every other country in the world is allowed to enforce their border laws. Why is America the only place right now that isn't allowed to? Again, they're not doing anything illegal. They're doing their jobs. Batman in a violent position against an ICE agent over the weekend. Chuck Dixon posted a piece where Batman was instead taking down Antifa. And of course, they're trying to say that Batman would be, taking down ICE agents when, think of the Joker. What's the Joker? He's basically like Antifa. So who would Batman really be going? Now, does Batman take down cops or maybe if they're corrupt? And we're talking about legitimately corrupt, not, oh no, they're taking people who are illegal and sending them back home. No, we're talking about like corrupt, briberies and this and that, and people dying because of these politicians or law enforcement dirty dealings, not people who are doing their fucking jobs. So Batman would not be siding with fucking Antifa. If they want to say that Superman would be siding with Antifa, whatever, Batman would not. He beats the Joker up on a regular basis, and Joker is basically one-man Antifa. They want to talk about a man not knowing anything about Batman. Clearly, they know nothing about Batman. He's not going to go out and fucking break the necks and everything of people who are doing their fucking jobs. Um, Batman was instead taking down Antifa, and the left-wing influencing community went insane, calling the legendary Batman writer, creator of Bane, a tourist who never read Batman. What were you saying? The man who created Bane. This dude right. Yeah, he totally has never read Batman comic. Totally never read Batman comic. Chuck Dixon is one of the most prolific Batman writers of all time, with runs not only on the Dark Knight's main line, but also with his sidekicks, Nightwing, Nightwing and, well, no, not really. Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing. Robin is kind of just a, there's been several Robins. But Nightwing's another one, a really, really cool character. Kind of like what people wished Robin was, from the beginning, instead of just being a sidekick. It's Nightwing. Nightwing, Robin, creating the Birds of Prey to make the Bat Family something that spans dozens of comics. His work, especially the creation of the villain Bane, stands the test of time as one of the best Batman adventures ever created. Yeah, and one of the best Batman villains ever created. Taking out those freaking the Schneider ones with like George Clooney and Bane in that one. That wasn't Bane. Bane's not this lumbering oaf who's like, "Duh." No, he's smart. He's very smart. So when that movie came out, people were like, why did they make Bane into basically like a mindless, brainless wrestler? He's nothing like that. And then we got Christopher Nolan comes out with, the Dark Knight and Dark Knight, all that. And he gives us Bane, and it's the Bane you would expect. He's very calculating. He's very intelligent, methodical, cold. And that's the Bane that people would think of when they think of this. Again, Bane is not a stupid person. He's very smart. But yeah, the man is a comic and legends, and he's still continuing his work to this day with great comics from the Rippaverse and Archaven Comics, exploring different genres and writing some of the best stories of his career. Got Something Big, Chuck Dixon, Frank Fosco, with Bruggen and Connor. As Daniel Warren Johnson took a lot of flack online for showing his true colors and how he hates America and wants ICE agents treated like criminals for enforcing the law. Again, they're not criminals. The criminals are the ones coming here illegally. Okay? If you're here legally and you can produce your papers, you don't get deported. And if you are here legally and you don't have your papers at the time, just do what they say and things will get sorted out. It's not that hard. But treating ICE agents who are enforcing the border laws that every country around the world are able to enforce on their own, everyone else is allowed to enforce their border laws. Why is America all of a sudden not allowed to? And people continue to bring up, like, Obama deported more people than Trump did, but the left wasn't losing their shit when he was doing it. No, these are the same people. Like, even Hillary Clinton, Obama, all these people in the past said we needed a wall, we needed to deport, and then Donald Trump comes along and they're like, oh my god, he's a racist. No, you fucking cunt said the exact same thing he did years ago. So when you guys want to throw out illegals and build a wall, that's perfectly fine. But when Trump says he wants to do it, oh no, suddenly he's a racist. And don't take my word for it. Go look up just Hillary Clinton border wall. There you go. The proof's in the pudding, straight from the horse's mouth. The left had no problem with a border wall until Trump came along and said he wanted to enforce the border laws and build a wall and get illegals out. Then suddenly it's, oh my God, he's a racist. No, you said the same thing years ago. Shut the fuck up. And again, Batman would not be doing this. Unless this was a truly corrupt ICE agent, then no, he's not going to be just going to people who are doing their jobs and breaking their fucking necks. He's not going to do that. Treated like criminals for enforcing the law, many artists got in on making different versions of the sketch, mocking Johnson's extreme leftism. It is of note that Johnson is currently working on Absolute Batman, in his annual issue, he's writing, making the villain white supremacist. White supremacy is so rampant that every single hate crime just turns out to be a hoax because white supremacy it's taking over the country. It's so prominent in this country that they have to make up hate crimes because it's running rampant in this country. You know, white supremacy. No, Absolute Batman, white supremacy, white supremacist, of which he states that San Diego Comic-Con, it's a reaction for him being mad about the current political environment. Chuck Dixon was one of those, posting artwork showing Batman taking down Antifa activists. Because again, think about the Joker. Think about what Antifa does. Who is more like Antifa? You know, the Joker. So, who do you think Batman would be going after? Antifa or ICE? There you go. Went viral on Twitter because it's poignant style and because the legendary Batman creator himself chimed in on the issue. Batman takes down some Jokers. Exactly. That's all you need to know. Antifa is closer to what the Joker represents. Immediately, the left found the post and started trying to attack Dixon on the art, which I think it's amazing art. You know, it's Batman. Also, I wish he would have the bat in his hand. Batman holding a bat. He's the Batman. But very dark, very gritty. Started to attack Dixon on the art he posted, many claiming he didn't understand Batman or had never read a Batman comic. Peak irony, as most of these people probably don't actually read Batman comics. Says the conservative fascist who that never touched a Batman comic. And he rightly responds with, yes, the man who never touched a Batman comic. Right? There's only so much retardation that people can take, and people on the left, surely the like-minded, the fair-minded ones should be looking at this bullshit and be like, okay, my fucking side is just stupid at this point. I'm gonna distance myself from them. Like, again, who's never touched a Batman comic? Then what's this? Is this a figment of my imagination? One attacked his current output with Horseman, a great book from the Rippaverse that the person probably hasn't read as well. As socialist in his fucking name. Yeah. Opinion automatically fucking discarded. Chuck, your career fell off so badly, so you create a Batman knockoff who dresses like a fucking horse skimp, coming from the side, who parades... I mean, remember the fucking last... Hang on. I'm sure you guys remember this photo from a couple years ago or whatever. So, this person is trying to say something about a horse skimp when that kind of sexual deviancy is promoted by them. So, it's okay when they do it. So, this is something they fucking cheer at. But you have a comic book, and then suddenly it's like, oh, just like a fucking horse skimp. Huh, sounds like you're being kind of judgmental there. You were saying... Oh no, but they defend that. Typical fucking leftist cunts. Chuck's reply is quite a flex, given that he recently had Jason Statham, a Jason Statham movie made from one of his new characters. Yeah, my career really fell off. Another hater called the art AI slop. Even funnier is that the art was drawn by another legend in the comic industry, Sergio Cariello, who has some of the best work in the medium to his credit. And, and we all know this fucking ass clown. Most people think this douchebag is a bot at this point, because surely no one can be this fucking retarded. But no, every minute he posts, he just proves more and more that he's fucking retarded. The post went viral because several winning influencers, like Evan Loves Worf, also attacked Chuck Dixon's bona fides with Batman. The guy's never read a Batman comic. Yeah, he's never read a comic. He's just a dumbass. He doesn't know anything about comics. He doesn't know anything about comics. The most ironic part is that these people seem to not realize that the character is largely thought of as right wing, and called fascist or worse by DC characters who are on the left when it comes to continuity. Yeah. So we got fucking Green Arrow here, calling him a Nazi, a bat Nazi. But yeah. Again, who would Batman really be going after? ICE agents who are just doing their job, or Antifa, who are more like the Joker? So, people who are just doing their job, or people who have no rhyme or reason for what they do, and their reason is just to cause chaos. Kind of like the Joker. You know, it's... Some people can't be bullied, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some people just want to watch the world burn. That's Antifa. They just want to watch the world burn. Kind of like the Joker. So, the Batman would be more taking out Antifa than fucking ICE. He's not going to break the neck of ICE agents because they're doing their job. Again, America is the only country right now where we're not allowed to enforce our border laws. Despite the fact that all those people, Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, all of them years ago before Trump was even elected, they said that we needed border laws, better border laws. They said we needed a wall. But then Trump says it, and all of a sudden, it's racist. But, yeah, the guy who created one of the most iconic characters of all time, someone who managed to break the bat. Nope, he has no idea what he's talking about. No idea what he's talking about. Because, Evan Loves Worf. He totally knows what he's talking about. Anyway, that's going to do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later.